Okay, so we're picking up from where we left off yesterday. If I was at school yesterday, then this is your first lecture recorded on a video. If I was not at school yesterday, then you've done this before and you know the drill, and you worked on the one yesterday, so you know how this is going to flow. If not, then I'll sort of repeat my little spiel from the beginning of the last video. Basically, this is going to be just like notes, so I want you to take notes and everything, but I'm going to be moving at a quicker pace because I don't have to pause for questions, and I don't have to pause to ask you guys questions. So because of that, the video is going to be shorter than actual lecture would be. So because of that, pause me. If you need to go back because you didn't catch something, rewind it, do whatever you got to do to sort of make this work best for you. I know this might be an adjustment for some people. You might not be used to doing anything like this. This is sort of a weird way to do notes, but this is I thought that you would maybe enjoy this better than just reading out of a textbook and taking your own notes. It might be a little more helpful for some of our audio learners to be able to do something like this. So we're going to pick up from where we left off yesterday. So yesterday we were talking about the Articles of Confederation, right? And a lot of the problems that we were seeing coming from them, right? Can't impose taxes, can't regulate trade, no executive branch, no judicial branch. It takes unanimous agreement to really pass any law. So we're seeing a lot of problems popping up because of the AOC. So the biggest problem we talked about yesterday was our money problems, right? We've gone into debt. We've seen, remember these guys over here, Robert Morris and Haim Solomon, our Department of Finance, trying to rectify the situation, but nothing passes, right? Because we've got one state sort of being the holdout. I can't remember what state that is. I'm sure some of you are curious. Feel free to Google it if you want. But I know it wasn't. I don't think it was. I know it was another smaller state. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, if you remember what group I said is going to be hit the hardest, right? Because of the paying taxes in gold or silver and losing bonuses from Great Britain. The group I said that it's hit hardest from all of these financial problems is going to be farmers, right? So that we're going to actually see a rebellion happen in the United States in 1786 because of the hardships that these farmers are going to be seeing. So this is called Shays Rebellion. So in Massachusetts in 1786 is when Shays Rebellion occurs, and so a rebellion basically flares up because a group of farmers needed new laws. Okay, we've got one guy in particular, Daniel Shays, who we can pretend that this is him over here in this red coat. Nobody knows what Daniel Shays looks like because he was sort of he was just a regular old dude. Okay, he was just a farmer, not really living a very important life until this point. And after this, he's not gonna be having his portrait made or anything like that. So we don't know what Daniel Shays looks like. So Daniel Shays was a veteran. Okay, he actually fought in the American Revolution, and he was one of these farmers, okay, to be hit really hard by some of these laws. And he ends up rallying up a big group of farmers in Massachusetts, and they're going to march on Springfield. And a group of 1,200 of them, okay, 1,200 men rallying together, marching against this brand new government we've made. And they're asking for two things, basically. They want help against foreclosures, for number one, right? A foreclosure is when you can't pay your bills and the bank basically takes away your property. So whether that be your farm, your home, whatever it is that you own, that being foreclosed upon is when you can't pay the loan back that you were given to pay for that property, and the bank takes it back. So they want help against foreclosures because a lot of them are going into debt because of all of the problems that we've basically created because of our horrible system of government, the AOC. And then the second thing they want help from is cheap money. What I mean by cheap money is inflation, right? That's another problem that they're having because of the rate of inflation has gotten so out of control. A lot of the money that they have is worthless, and they're being asked to pay all these taxes in silver and gold, which they don't have. So Daniel Shays leads this rebellion in Massachusetts. So eventually, the governor of Massachusetts, James Bowdoin, you don't need to write that down unless you're really curious about his name, he has to call in the militia. He has to call in the military to help restore order. So the guy who sort of comes to rescue everything is General Benjamin Lincoln. You see him over there making that weird face, and I don't really know. I wonder what that piece of paper is he's supposed to be holding. Who knows? Anyway, that's General Benjamin Lincoln. So Benjamin Lincoln comes in March of 87. So this started sort of in the fall, and by March he has to come in and sorry, y'all. I'm recording this kind of late. He has to come in and crush the whole situation. So it actually takes him multiple tries. It's kind of impressive for a group of farmers, right, to be able to put up against this army that, supposedly just whooped the tail of Great Britain. So they sort of, once the militia arrives, everybody sort of scatters. They all sort of run away once they have, you see this depiction of a battle down here. Once they begin to really lose and Benjamin Lincoln is making some significant progress, everybody sort of runs in all sorts of different directions. And Daniel Shays is one of those people. He sort of starts all this drama and then dips out when things get kind of crazy. So I'm sure a lot of you can maybe relate to him. So he ends up fleeing to Vermont, and when he gets to Vermont, he's pardoned. So the whole situation is kind of funny because the AOC did nothing to help the Massachusetts authority, so it does nothing to help the governor put this whole thing down, despite the fact that Congress authorized the Secretary of War, who at the time was Henry Knox. We authorized Henry Knox to raise 1,000 men force to go in and take care of the situation. Aside from that, they didn't really help him. There was no real help for the governor here on how to handle a situation like this. So Shays Rebellion is, we'll talk about 3 rebellions this unit, and Shays is going to be the first one, and it is. The reason why Shays Rebellion is important, I guess we would say the historical significance of it, is that it really illustrates a lot of the weaknesses that we're seeing in the AOC at this point. So, moving on. Things are going from bad to worse, okay? So the economic recession hits, and is continuing for most of the part of the 1870s. I don't know why I said 1870s, the 1780s. So for most of the 1780s, we're seeing trade decline, wages decline, paper money is being issued by the states is pretty much worthless. Inflation is still rising. We're also seeing some chaos between the states here. So not every state is obeying the laws of other states. Let's say North Carolina passes a law, South Carolina doesn't like it. They don't have to enforce it. Today states we have, the law of the land, right? We've got the Constitution, that's major laws. Each state sort of isn't making it up as they go. Everybody has a more unified system that they're following. And yeah, some states have different laws from others. But if that caused a big problem, we would take that to the Supreme Court, but we have no Supreme Court in this situation, and so we've got no one to settle these disagreements. Now, another problem is that all these states are making their own trade agreements with people, including Native Americans. So let's say North Carolina wants to make a trade agreement with the Cherokee. Let's say they're in talks, and all of a sudden South Carolina hears about it. They want to undercut it, make a better trade agreement. They can, maybe outbid North Carolina, causing some sort of, some tensions there. And at the same time, we're seeing them do the same thing with foreign relations. Let's say that North Carolina offers a trade deal for cotton or tobacco with Spain. South Carolina can cut into South Carolina's trade or their market when it comes to that particular crop. So we've got different states all competing with each other instead of all working together. So that's causing a lot of problems. Each state is now at this point starting to issue their own currencies because the continental currency has gotten so inflated it's almost worthless. All these states are issuing their own money, and that's making it hard to do business between states. Like I said, there's no way to settle any of these disputes. We've got no court system, no federal court system. So several people at this point start talking about maybe we should pass an amendment. Maybe we should pass an amendment to the AOC to rectify some of these problems. But what's the hard part about passing an AOC amendment? How many states does it take to actually ratify it? all of them, right? All 13 states have to agree, and they know that's going to be a virtually impossible task. So they give up before they even start. Okay, they don't even try to amend the AOC. They're just like, it's going to be too hard. Whatever. It is what it is. Now, we've also got some problems with foreign relations, okay? We're having some trouble enforcing the Treaty of Paris. Now, the Treaty of Paris, remember, that was the one we signed in 83. That's the one that we have that ends the American Revolution, right? And part of that agreement said that all of these British troops now have to get out of they got to get out of the United States. This isn't their country anymore, and we were having some problems actually making that happen. The British are still occupying the Great Lakes region over here, right? This isn't part of any particular state, so I guess they thought they could get away with it, but it is our land now, right? All of this up until the Mississippi River, which you see here, all of this belongs to us. So just because we don't have anyone settled and living there doesn't mean it's not ours. You still got to get. So we're also having some trouble with Spain negotiating where the actual border of Florida is. Spain keeps trying to pretend like maybe the northern border of Florida is way up here, and we're like, no, it's actually down here. And so they keep trying to sort of nudge it up and take more land than we actually agreed. Spain also has control of the Mississippi and New Orleans, right? Remember, all this over here, the Louisiana Territory at this point belongs to Spain. Napoleon hasn't taken it back yet, so we're having to negotiate with Spain to actually be able to use the Mississippi River and the port of New Orleans to get to all this land. Well, if we want to use that waterway to our advantage, so it's just causing a lot of problems. Basically, everything in the colonies right now, I don't know why I said the colonies, I'm just so used to that. Everything in the states right now is just virtual chaos. So let's talk about this an idea that we're going to start to see floating around the colonies. I did it again, gosh. The states are going to see this idea floating around the states called Republican motherhood. So during the American Revolution, women had to become politically active, right? We see women like Jane Addams, actually using their voice and speaking out. And I don't mean politically active like they were running for a political office or they were, getting a vote in the Second Continental Congress. We know that's not true, but a lot of them were playing a large role. They're managing businesses while men were away. Some of them even fought in battle. There was one woman, Deborah Sampson, who sort of pulled a Mulan. She cut her hair and disguised herself as a man and enlisted in the Continental Army to fight in the American Revolution. And they didn't find out she was a woman until, just like in Mulan, she got injured and they realized that she had lady parts and they had to send her packing. So eventually, she'll receive some medals of honor for that. I'm pretty sure under President Jefferson, Thomas Jefferson, I think is going to do that for her. So women are taking on a bigger role. So women are the first and best opportunity to raise children to be responsible citizens and patriots, right? Women are spending the most amount of time with children, and they're educating them, right? Pretty much all school at this point is homeschool. So if you want your son to grow up to be a future patriotic leader, it starts with the mom. And if you want your daughter to grow up to be intelligent and patriotic, to be able to run a household so that she can continue that cycle, it's up to the mom. So we see women taking on a very important role here, but they're giving men and women very different educations. Men are receiving educations that are going to encourage them to become leaders in their community, while women are basically receiving educations that are going to set them up to sort of just be stepping stools for men to become leaders. You want to raise your son to be a future leader. You want to raise your daughter so that she can raise her son to be a future patriotic leader. So it's sort of this never-ending cycle that all revolves around men. So that's what Republican motherhood is. Now, rewind. Remember yesterday we talked about that one state holding out about all this western land in exchange to ratify the AOC. That was Maryland, right? Remember Maryland, here's Maryland, land locked in, right? So none of this western land can belong to them. So they demanded that everyone give it up and give it over to the government. So the government owns all this land here. You can see it's a giant block here. These are the states that it will eventually become, and you can see the years that they will become states. But up here, it's just a giant block of land, right? It belongs to the government. They got to figure out what to do with it. Now, the AOC didn't address how to make land into new states, and we need a way to bring the settlers that are out there, under the control of this central government, right? We've got people living out here in this Northwest Territory, and we don't have any rules that apply to them because the AOC doesn't actually do that. So we've got to come up with a way to make that happen.